We just simply want them to work to contract and follow their FARs.
But if you work to contract, I mean, you're meticulously following each rule. Wouldn't that necessarily slow things down?
Well, yes. I mean, obviously, it's going to have an impact. But our intent is just to get the flight attendants unified and working in one direction to show the company that we're solid.
There have been calls out here about a sick out. The union has put out much literature, and we continue to tell our people that not participate in any illegal activities such as sick outs or slowdowns. We're professionals. We don't intend for that to happen, and we're doing everything we can to prevent that from happening.
Well, we think we can provide better service if we develop it ourselves rather than something that's imposed by the government.
Oh, I got a ticket. What do you guys get it open?
Shortage, and there are administrative positions in the state of Minnesota that are currently not filled. And I believe professionally, I felt violated because you hire people, you see the talents that they have, and you expect that everybody will be on the same page. And ultimately, our main object here is to teach students, work with students, and protect them. They have to be in a safe environment. That is my frustration with this case, if indeed he is guilty of it.
What's the rest of your schedule look like today? Busy day?
It's changed drastically, like everything else has changed. So I believe there's a misconception out there that has started with this case that we don't do criminal checks. We do criminal checks, and in the case of Eric Holton, we went through all the process. And
I think this is a great opportunity for kids to learn the principles of gravity, inertia, and other things through a hands-on experience that they can then transfer over into their own lives.
Oh, they love it. The kids every day, they're so excited. Is it wizard time? Is it wizard time? And they really are learning.
Let's do it again. Let's have a try again. My toe. I don't remember saying it. We're doing it. Go ahead, get me.
You're going on to Atlanta?
Right.
The rush is on to get home for the holidays. But even with the hustle and bustle at the Duluth International Airport, one thing is not overlooked: passengers' security.
Did you folks pack the luggage yourself? Has it been in your control the whole time?
To help watch over the busy airport, there's a new $120,000 camera system.
And it goes from various stations. Right now we're looking at American Eagle ticket counter.
Airport Authority Director Ray Klazowski says they started installing the system a year ago, not because of any threat to the airport, but just to keep up with a growing traffic hub that's moving into the new millennium.
So we can zoom in fairly tight on a particular point of interest. We'll take it out onto the roadway. There's a car coming up the road. We'll pick him up.
12 cameras can focus on almost any part of the airport, inside or outside. Before, the airport was only patrolled by security guards on foot.
You can see our security guard making his patrol.
We were reactive, and now we're able to be more proactive when it comes to security, and of course that's very important, and that's my job.
The high-tech camera system is especially helpful right now. The airport security put out a memo just Wednesday, reminding everyone to be extra aware during this holiday travel season.
We've increased our vigilance, of course, and talked to all our tenants on the airport, and also the people that work for the Duluth Airport Authority, to be more vigilant, to watch out for unusual acts or something like that, and just keep a good eye out.
Now, guards are more watchful of cars stopped outside and bags left unattended.
Now our security force is more intent on moving people along. If there's an unattended bag, they're more intent on picking up right away. As far as checking the bags through the security and the X-ray machines, that always operates at a high level of intensity.
Even with the heightened security concerns at the Duluth airport and airports across the country, passengers say they're just happy to get home to their families safely this time of year. In Duluth, Kim Kaiser, News 6.
We're going to have the ice skating, we're going to have the hay rides, we will have a big tent set up with hot chocolate and cookies, and that's all free. So people can come down, they can enjoy this, bring your skates, enjoy the day.
At the 94th Armored Division of the Minnesota Army National Guard, men are putting together a mobile kitchen capable of feeding 450 people every 2 hours and on standby for New Year's Eve.
It's designed to handle large troop capacity. So 450 people every 2 hours, it's a pretty simple process.
The Guard also has a winter emergency vehicle fired up and ready in case emergency transportation is needed.
Military use is transportation of personnel in the battlefield. It's called an M113 Armored Personnel Carrier. It is designed to just move troops back and forth in the battlefield. It can move in quite just about any kind of terrain, snow, wet conditions, rough terrain, rocky terrain, so it'll go just about anywhere.
The city's water system can meet needs for 48 hours, long enough for a backup unit to be installed, and fire hoses can help pump water to sections of town where water is needed most. DTA service will have its tanks filled before the end of the year, allowing normal operation for 2 weeks. Duluth's contingency plan calls for a mass shelter at the Duluth International Airport, which can operate on fuel oil for 10 days. And the deck, another designated mass shelter, has 3 generators, one which will be turned on at 10:45 New Year's Eve and run through the party until 2:30 in the morning New Year's Day. The Red Cross has been conducting disaster training for its staff and organizing emergency supplies and space.
Schools make ideal shelter facilities because they're handicap accessible, they have showers and toilets available, and they also have separate rooms for people with special needs, and we want to take care of those as well as the general public.
Like in the case of the benzene spill, where a group of daycare kids had to be kept separate from others because of measles. The Red Cross and other agencies say it's likely no big emergencies will occur because of Y2K, but having a plan in place only means they're ready just in case.
Y2K, snow emergency, water, you name it, we're prepared.
In Duluth, Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
Around Duluth, it was beginning to look a lot like springtime, and people had an extra spring in their step. Skateboards replacing snowboards, bareheaded men, not even a jacket for this fellow, and these guys in ties could have been in California. By afternoon, temperatures finally hit a record high, 46 degrees. Even our own meteorologist, George, says he didn't predict that.
One of those things they teach you in meteorology school, it's like the last thing before they hand you your diploma and send you on your way. They say never forecast a record high or a record low, because by definition they happen once in 100 years.
Or every 103 years. The last record was set back in 1896, a mere 42 degrees. But Duluth isn't the only place with a heat wave.
The UP has some snow, and parts of New York State have snow, and a little bit of Pennsylvania. That's it. Nobody else has snow. It's warm. Ski areas are hurting from New Mexico to Vermont.
To Chester Park, where skiers were enjoying machine-made snow.
Considering they made all of this with only one gun, and I think it's pretty good.
Good, but not good enough.
I'm not used to it. I wish there was more snow so I could play in the backyard and build snow forts and stuff.
For building the Great Lakes Aquarium, on the other hand, the warm weather was perfect.
It's not El Nino. We have El Nino, and then we have La Nina, which is technically is, but I'm beginning to think of it as El Bizarro. It's just not like any pattern I've seen before, which makes it a lot of fun to forecast.
Fun and unpredictable, adding a bit more wonder into this winter wonderland. In Duluth, Jana Katsuyama, News 6.
Donald Blum has been frustrated for a long time. A lot has been said about him, and he's had very little chance to say anything himself. And this was an opportunity for him to express how he felt both about the federal case and to some extent about the state case.
For almost a half an hour, Blum complained about the trial, arguing that key witnesses had lied on the stand. But he's most upset about being what he called a scapegoat. He says federal prosecutors were out to get him for the gun charges because he's been accused of kidnapping and killing Katie Poyer, which he denies. He told the court they wouldn't or couldn't come forward and say they had found the wrong man. They've gone too far. He went on to say, I have a lot of anger. I also have a certain sense of dignity. I will be losing my future, but inside I know I'm not guilty. I know that for sure. Blum's lawyer says this has been a very emotional and tense case because of the connection to Katie Poyer's disappearance. But he's off the case now and won't be handling appeals.
Mr. Blum and I had some differences right towards the end of the case as to how the defense should be presented. And I felt that if those differences wanted to be raised on appeal, that I'm certainly not the person to do that.
But at least we got him off the street for 19 plus years. Someone else's child is safe now.
Pam Poyer says her family has a life sentence after the disappearance of their daughter Katie. But the family says they're satisfied with the judge's decision to put the man accused of killing their daughter behind bars for almost 20 years on unrelated federal gun charges.
He'll never suffer as much as we suffer, but just watching him, have that judge say 235 months and just watching him just sink. He just sank.
Blum's lawyer had asked for a sentence closer to the minimum of 15 years, saying Blum didn't do anything criminal with the 4 guns investigators found on his property near Moose Lake. But prosecutors wanted close to 25 years, citing his violent past. And Blum also had a chance to speak with the judge about his thoughts on the outcome of the trial.
Donald Blum has been frustrated for a long time. A lot has been said about him, and he's had very little chance to say anything himself. And this was an opportunity for him to express how he felt both about the federal case and to some extent about the state case.
Blum says the state case, the kidnapping and murder charges, influenced this one. He says federal prosecutors were out to get him, telling the court, "I have a lot of anger. I also have a certain sense of dignity. I will be losing my future, but inside I know I'm not guilty. I know that for sure." But the Poyer family says they still don't believe him.
And if he was looking for sympathy, he wasn't getting it. If he was waiting for me to break down or to carry on, he didn't get it. This is a person that broke the law, and he had to pay.
Now Blum's lawyer for the federal charges, Richard Holmstrom, is done with the case and won't be handling appeals.
Mr. Blum and I had some differences right towards the end of the case as to how the defense should be presented. And I felt that if those differences wanted to be raised on appeal, that I'm certainly not the person to do that.
And the Poyer family is looking ahead to the next trial on the state charges of kidnapping and murder.
We're not looking forward to this one coming up.
But we're focused. We are focused on it.
In federal prison, 19 years, 7 months means pretty much just that. There isn't the same opportunity to get out as early as if he were in state prison. As far as where he'll go, federal officials can put him anywhere in the country, but because of the pending state case, he'll probably stay in Carleton County. In Minneapolis, I'm Kim Kaiser, News 6.
What's the matter? What's the matter?
what could be more violent than to see a helpless victim, a helpless child, stashed away somewhere, struggling for life.
The blanket Joe was in. No clothes, no diaper, nothing in it, just a blanket.
Want to get the message out. Yeah, I don't care.
And what happens is she simply walks in, hopefully to the emergency room, hands the baby to an official at the hospital, one of the emergency room doctors. If she's willing, she can answer a few brief questions about her medical history so that we can care for that baby well, but her identity will not be asked and no police will be called.
If you're throwing together a last-minute playoff party. And if a movie theater
will be here, a number of celebrities will be here.
This is News Channel 5 at noon.
Wham, bam, thank you, Rams. It is the sign of the times and the spirit of the city. Go team. The Vikings are toast. Let's get started right away with Ken Hibbs, who is live at Keener Plaza. Ken?
Hi, Kelly. Hi, Jennifer. I tell you what, the crowd out here at Keener Plaza is just unbelievable. We did not expect anything like this. You can see a few of them have gathered behind me. This is actually the first of two pep rallies that's going to be held downtown in the St. Louis area. This particular rally lasts until 1 o'clock. It's being held.
Will hold a Viking funeral of their very own at 7:30. Starts at the Trainwreck Saloon on Laclede's Landing, then heads down First Street to the river. The mock funeral will include a Viking dummy, pallbearers, archers, and plenty of Rams fans playing the part of mourners. Viking burial tradition says the boat must be set on fire and pushed into open waters, or in this case, the Mississippi.
To Duluth and they come to the building. We are going to have our last semester computer students down here to work on group projects with the companies. And this really gives them an idea of what it's like to be out in the real world and eases that transition between learning and the real world.
We need these resources. It isn't like it's happening all the time, but it's been happening way too much. And when the first thing as a parent, you don't want to hear there's no money. You're going to go to any degree to find your child.
gonna have to see this package now.
So I usually recommend over-the-counter moisturizers that are perhaps non-perfumed. There's different degrees of heaviness. Some lotions are very light and just pour out, and those are fine for some people, but others need the heavier kinds of that are more thicker.
Ask anyone from Hibbing who the greatest basketball player from Minnesota is, chances are you'll get the same answer.
Kevin McHale. You know, there's no one that has stood for Minnesota and Hibbing basketball more than he has. And I guess that's what he meant to me, and that's probably what he meant to a lot of people up here.
He always seemed to be a good guy to me. I don't know, good sport and stuff, so I kind of looked up to him for that.
Kevin has been a tremendous role model for all of our kids, all of our athletes, especially, of course, our basketball players. And this is something that I've been thinking about. I've been an activities director here at Hibbing for about 14 years, and it's been something I've been thinking about doing for a long time.
To Hibbing Activity Director Milt Verant, Kevin is more than just a great basketball player. He's an Iron Range icon, a good student, a well-rounded individual who never forgot those who helped him achieve his dreams.
He came back and visited many times. He'd come into the teacher's lounge and shoot the breeze with the teachers and talk about how things were going for him. So he never forgot his home roots, and we appreciate that. And it's, like I say, it's about time that we recognize him.
After Kevin was enshrined into the Hall of Fame last October, Milt knew it was time something was done. So on Saturday, when Hibbing takes on longtime rival Chisholm, Kevin McHale will be there. But this time, he'll be on the sidelines watching.
This date was chosen mainly because of a comment that Kevin made a number of years ago when he was asked, when he was playing for the Celtics, about the toughest defensive team that he's ever seen. And of course, everybody's expecting him to name some NBA team. His comment was, no, he says, I think it was back when I was playing Chisholm, when Chisholm had 5 little butch haircut players chasing the ball after me. He says, that was definitely the toughest defensive team I've ever seen.
I don't want them eliminated. It'd be, fun to see one once in a while. But to have them this many on a regular basis and have them doing damage on our property, it's time to have some kind of control.
And we're standing right by the base of Furnace 5, which is an inactive furnace.
The old pelletizing machine stands idle now, but this part of the North Shore Mining Company may soon be the home of a product that could revive the mining industry, direct reduced iron.
That's what it seems like the future, potential future for taconite is to go to the the reduced iron. It's a much purer, much more valuable product.
The pig iron, with a higher concentration of iron, would be worth about 5 times more than the taconite pellets the company currently produces. General Manager Bob Berglund says it goes to foundries and mini mills and could mean a promising future for the iron range.
If we're able to get this off the ground, it could represent a viable alternative for almost any of the mines up here.
But that's exactly what some residents and environmental groups are worried about, that pollution would grow along with the industry.
We want to try and assess all potential environmental impacts, and that's what we're doing right now.
John Elling of the State Pollution Control Agency says they're studying the project in Silver Bay before it gets the go-ahead. They're looking at environmentalists' major concerns of fiber and mercury emissions.
Well, right now there's an indication that it would probably increase a couple pounds to the air as far as air emissions. Right now it doesn't indicate that there's an increase to the discharge to the water.
Berglund says the plant is continuing to reduce the mercury output, which is only a tiny percentage of what's produced in all of the Iron Range taconite plants.
If we're willing to forego having any economic activity, then we can get down to zero discharge. But it's just not practical. It's a naturally occurring element, and it's pervasive in the environment.
Praised by local lawmakers and criticized by some residents, the project is yet another example of the tricky balance between economics and the environment. In Silver Bay, Kim Kaiser, News 6.
Stress and abuse and neglect are very damaging to a developing brain. The effects show up later with behaviors that we see in some of our youngsters. So that early nurturing is absolutely critical.
The first thing you got to do is you got to read it carefully, and that may mean that you have to read it 2 or 3 times.
Like all Minnesota schools, this week's basic skills tests for 8th graders are keeping teachers and students at ESCO quite busy. In order to graduate, students must meet the required scores on these exams. While their report cards aren't affected, their entire high school careers may be.
Is it pretty important to do well on this?
Yeah, otherwise we won't graduate, and we have to graduate.
Since fall, students at most public schools have had the advantage of a study guide. In this classroom, 8th graders are getting a preview of what's expected and some coaching from their math teacher. But test preparation doesn't end at the classroom. ESCO Principal Bill Berglund recently sent a letter to parents, making a simple but impactful request.
We would like your support, and we would like you to encourage your children to put forth their best effort and to have them have a good night's rest, and to have them, we'll provide the breakfast here for them, but to have them have a good night's rest and realize that this is critical for their high school diploma.
This year, ESCO will provide a breakfast for kids the morning of the tests. School counselor Sherry Sullivan says what happens at home will also have a noticeable impact on test results.
Well, certainly even a couple of days before the test, encouraging the student to get enough rest so that they feel well rested, being sure that their eating schedule is, pretty much in order so that they don't have hunger pangs the morning during the test to distract them, or they're not so tired they're wanting to sleep during the test.
Small steps to take for such an important leap in a person's education. In ESCO, Jason Rice, News 6.
Don't lose.
Can you describe I happened to turn on and catch the glare of the red lights, and I peeked out the window, and that's when I saw it.
What Bill Stewart saw was the aftermath of a fiery attack on his neighbor's home. Just after 4 this morning, arsonists threw what was believed to be a homemade bomb through the window of Superior District Attorney Dan Blank's home. The explosion has left neighbors fearing for their safety.
It's kind of tough. You know, it's just kind of hard to absorb. You know, it's just a lot when it's in your own backyard.
Police are taking the incident very seriously and have called for help from state and federal officials.
But it has been determined that the fire was an arson, and we're following through investigating it with that in mind.
Blank and his family were in the house sleeping at the time of the explosion. The blast was so powerful it shattered windows on the first and second floors of the home and destroyed much of the living area. Surprisingly, Blank and his family managed to escape unharmed.
I think they're handling the situation as well as anyone under the same sort of circumstances.
One of the biggest clues in the case, the letters IG, believed to stand for the Imperial Gangster, spray painted on the outside of Blank's home. While police have not confirmed any suspected gang involvement, Blank is currently trying several members of the gang for the murder of Carl Peterson last July. Regardless of the motive, Chief Diamond says the attack should raise awareness that violence can happen to anyone.
Well, I think one of the things it shows is that any of us, can be victims of any crime. None of us are immune.
In Superior, Craig Zleeman, News 6.
He's filling in nicely. Getting that nice little chubbiness to his cheeks there, you know.
Dr. Robert Johnson has been in the delivery room for some of the highest profile multiple births in this country. His expertise is regularly shared on the Mayo Clinic's medical website.
Most of the topics that we choose to put on the website arise basically from our experiences with patients.
The Mayo website covers everything from cancer care to stress management. Site coordinators say the most important thing they can do is reflect the questions and concerns of the average person. Each week, a panel of doctors gets together to discuss what's on the minds of their patients.
The Mayo Clinic is considered one of the top medical centers in the world. They put that reputation on the line in their website. And while that's important in drawing people to the medical site, it also puts a lot of pressure on writers who must meet that standard of excellence.
You've been hearing the news all week. The Mayo has recently hired an award-winning television medical correspondent to help make the sometimes complicated medical messages understandable to everyone.
Helping healthcare consumers become smarter consumers and to partner with their healthcare providers in making better healthcare decisions.
Mayo editors say making good decisions is a top priority for their website. Along with publishing important medical breakthroughs and innovative treatments, the site also serves as a watchdog.
So we don't put anything up that hasn't had significant physician review. I don't think there's any other website out there in cyberspace that has that depth of review.
There are an estimated 30,000 medical websites, many with only one thing in mind: making money, often by selling bogus or unproven cures. While medical fraud is nothing new, the web provides a new venue for scam artists to peddle everything from fake herbal cures to contraptions like this thing.
This has the amazing ability of regenerating missing organs, regrows missing limbs, cures high blood pressure, brain tumors, ease the pain of childbirth, and brain cancer. In 1976, 150,000 people bought this by mail for $150 apiece.
Mayo Clinic spokespeople say they hope to protect consumers from medical ripoffs.
There are some things we put on the site that we think are being propagated that are dangerous, and we highlight that, hey, put the brakes on, this is a problem.
Mayo's website editors hope new technology will help personalize internet visits so they'll feel more like a trip to the doctor's office.
We have to be very sensitive to concerns of privacy on the internet. At the same time, there are ways of personalizing information that may be very, very beneficial for users as well.
And while Mayo leaders agree the internet will never replace face-to-face doctor-patient care, they feel education is key to a healthier lifestyle.
The better the consumer can be educated, the better they know the pros and cons for different treatments, the better they'll be a partner in the healthcare equation with their healthcare provider.
The Mayo Clinic's website has been in existence for almost 5 years, and this spring a major expansion is planned to meet the public demand for more medical information on the net. In Rochester, Barbara Riles, News 6.
Nope, that's it. And their capillary refill, it looks pretty good.
Are you going to race the 400? He keeps an eye on things.
So we brought a really competitive dog team down this year. They're bigger and they're stronger and they're faster and more mature. So.
Finally gave up on ego because
Despite nature's curveball of warm weather, dog teams continue venturing northward at a brisk pace. At the Sawbill checkpoint, midday arrivals included some mushers ending their 150-mile trip, like Mike Bestian of St. Cloud running his 5th Bear Grease. He's happy with his team's performance in warmer weather.
It's been hot all year, no snow, so they're used to the bad snow conditions too. So.
Alaskan musher John Barron is in the hunt to retain his crown from the '99 marathon. This year, he loaned a dog team to his friend Doug Grillio, a decision he's not so sure about, since Grillio is ahead of him.
Yeah, I trained Doug. He's kind of, we're real good friends. I trained him this winter.
So right now, is it looking like he's your stiffest competition?
He's my competition. Yeah, I have to take a stick at him over the head or something. I trained him too good.
First aid kit.
This is race official Meg Brown's first Bear Grease. She greets each team at the Sawbill checkpoint, marking arrival times and checking the teams for all the required gear. So far, it's been a clean, safe race.
It's fun to see the dogs come in and see the different expressions with the racers and stuff. Some of them come in, they're really tired, they're worried about their dogs. Other of them come in and they're so happy to be done. They're just beaming.
How are we doing, huh? Are we happy to be here?
They say it all comes down to the dogs. Barron pulled one dog out earlier in the day with a sore shoulder.
We had a really hellacious hill with a turn on it going into Beaver Bay, and I think just about everybody had a problem there. And it was all dirt and asphalt, and I'm sure she got hurt in that turn.
Barron and the mushers headed for the 400-mile finishing mark will rest here till just after dark. Then it's back into the heart of the Sawtooth Mountains that have challenged humans and canines for centuries. They're well aware the most treacherous part of their journey lies ahead. On the trail of the Bear Grease 2000, Jason Rice, News 6.
If what happened to Katie Poyer in Moose Lake happened to you, would there be some way to alert anyone?
Basically, I think no.
When Senator Becky Laurie saw an I-Team 6 report on the dangers convenience store workers like Katie Poyer face, she was shocked. She immediately put together a Senate task force to look for ways to improve the system. 5 bills have come out of that task force. They include steps to improve the way criminal records are kept, a better system for tracking sex offenders, better prevention programs, funding to reimburse small law enforcement centers faced with expensive cases like Katie's, and better safety measures for protecting convenience store workers. This week, senators are discussing a $1.4 million sex offender tracking bill that would create much stiffer penalties for sex offenders who fail to register. An estimated 40% of sex offenders have currently failed to register according to law and are subsequently lost by the justice system.
We need to provide a strong reason why these offenders have to be current in their registration, a strong deterrent for them, if you will, to not report.
Senators heard emotional testimony from the mother of Callie Jo Larson, an 11-year-old girl from Waseca who was sexually assaulted and murdered in her home last July.
This system is not working.
and we need to get some things in place so that this time factor, when we have 40% of the people who do violent crime not there where they're supposed to be, our law officials can't even check out to see where they were, alibi them out.
Pine County Sheriff Steve Havista, who provided backup in the search for Katie Poyer's killer, testified that during that investigation he found a shocking number of unregistered sex offenders.
But right now, it's like certain ones are thumbing their noses at the system because they don't feel they have to comply, and nobody's going to do anything to them if they don't.
The bill calls for failure to register to become a felony, and it would carry a mandatory minimum sentence of 2 years. The bill is still being fine-tuned and won't be presented to the full legislature until later this session. Barbara Riles, News 6.
You know, people are coming up and they're not doing it just for it's a thrill, it's exciting, but it's also an educational experience. And that's a big part of it.
There's a sharpness to the air, and a blanket of snow insulates life.
Good.
You could ski or snowshoe in, but if you ask winter adventure guide Kurt Lothe how best to see the white wilderness, he'd say standing on the runners of a 6-foot toboggan with a team of dogs in front of you. The dogs take us nearly 30 miles to a remote campsite set up just outside the Boundary Waters. This is where we'll spend the night.
It's the epitome of no-trace camping. You know, you come in, you use a spot, and then it snows again and there's no trace, or it melts and no one knows you're even there. There's minimal impact.
We spend the night in a yurt, a portable Mongolian-styled hut. It's a little warmer and a little bigger than most tents, and this year it's a little busier than usual. As wilderness adventure guides, Kurt and musher Peter McClelland are seeing a boom in winter camping. They're nearly booked for this year.
You know, a lot of people, especially in the Boundary Waters up here, a lot of people come up for 15 years and they look at it in the summertime and they want to come see what it looks like in the wintertime, so they come give it a try.
No motors, no sirens. At times, a person's thoughts make the loudest noises in the forest. Even if just for a day, that feeling is what the winter camper can soak in.
Usually you think about people that lived here before we were and how they could manage to survive, and it must have been awfully primitive and hard. And sometimes you wonder. Sometimes you think maybe that was the good life, and we kind of make it harder for ourselves sometimes.
Peter and Kurt say another reason winter adventures are becoming more popular, more people today are looking for an achievement, not just a getaway.
Once you get out and you winter camp and you know you can live with the world, with the environment, you just have a lot less fear of it, and less foreboding. But you can do it, and when people come back and realize they can, it really opens up a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, well, that was a lot of fun today.
Good.
In the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness, Jason Rice, News 6.
That's in high school. Used to what? Run the 100.
Shock and horror is what I would have experienced if I were to sit down in a test.
Filled with emotion, State Representative John Tuma wants members of the House Education Committee to understand that this year's state writing topic, What You'd Change About Yourself, was a bad choice. And for Tuma, who has dyslexia, it hit home.
It happens to be that very one thing that I want to change with myself is the fact that I can't read or write.
68,000 Minnesota sophomores took the state writing test last month, but within days the cries to throw out the test started. Critics considered the subject matter too personal.
Real things really happened from this question.
After listening to testimony, State House Education members will vote Thursday on whether the test should be scored and if the topic should be forever thrown out.
But it is definitely not fair or even financially responsible of the state to force every single sophomore to retake the writing skills test to satisfy the select few who were offended.
Give them their scores, but those that are about to take them over or wish to take them over again, let us districts create that test.
I don't think that anybody in this room can come up with a question that won't in some way offend somebody.
I think that the question was personal, but I think that we were able to answer it and that we went through it, and I think that we should leave it at that.
For Representative Tuma, the test would have been a struggle.
What is the one thing that I would like to change about myself is the fact that I can't take this damn test.
That's what I would have put down. They're the very words that I would put down, and I would have spelled damn wrong.
Well, wait a minute.
This will help us with the events that we have now. Of course, with the new piece of the convention center going up. It'll be open next February, we expect. Certainly there are going to be more people using this lot than ever before. We're excited about being able to be here doing this. There are a number of people that have been involved.
First thing Monday morning, the drivers will come in and we'll be out there delivering as early as we dare to. Oh, man.
Not quite what you expected.
Nope. You're gonna starve, Doug.
Is that your bait?
Why not?
Too many other things to do.
Yeah.
We had some difficult discussions, but they were all very calm.
Record, this is, will be put on file. The Office of the Commissioner of Railroads adopted new administrative
Consideration of the public in the viewing audience. Business-like, and I commend you and your staff for that, as well as commending. A year ago, I got a phone call. I was sitting at home trying to relax. With regards to, I am comfortable, number one, with what I have done, and therefore am willing to accept the outcome, because if one puts their best foot forward for the people that they represent, and then those people feel that that is not a proper position, you can do no more.
As snow falls quietly over Red Cliff Saturday night, police stand guard over the cordoned-off elderly center on the reservation, where the body of Inga Klinger was discovered by friends.
When they entered the room, they found blood. They didn't see the body, but they left and they notified the authorities.
Inga's family had reported her missing earlier that day. Now a parent's worst fears confirmed. She had been sexually assaulted and stabbed to death.
Their preliminary investigation revealed that the young girl had been accompanied by a young Red Cliff man previous to finding the body there and the evening before.
Witnesses say the two were at several parties arguing. It was the last time anyone saw Inga alive. A crisis team met Sunday at the Bayfield High School, discussing ways to help students cope with their classmate's death. Inga was a good student, even planned to graduate early and enter college. People that knew her are stunned. Neighbors are shocked by this horrific crime, disrupting their community in the ugliest of ways.
Nothing like this has ever happened here. It's just a peaceful, nice town. Everybody knows everybody. So.
The peace has been shattered. A lone bouquet of flowers lies in the snow for a quiet 16-year-old who likes school and loved to draw. In Red Cliff, Maureen Tallarico, News 6.
I'll have to tell you, it's tough for me to start my fires using birch bark because I know there's a whole lot more value than just lighting a match to it.
When UMD chemistry professor Bob Carlson decided to check into the chemical properties of birch bark, he probably didn't count on a day like this, a day when the university, Minnesota Power, and Potlatch Corporation formalized their relationship. They've now formed a company called NatureTech to research, produce, and aggressively market several compounds that come directly from processed birch bark.
It's just that simple. You look at birch bark and its properties in the environment. It doesn't degrade well. The tree is gone, the bark is there. So we're looking at applications where we increase the longevity of wood.
But the benefits of birch don't end with wood treatment. Insect repellents, medicines, and lubricants are other products NatureTech will pursue. As a partner in the new company, Potlatch brings to the table a huge source of raw materials. The company produces about 35,000 tons of birch bark a year in the process of making oriented strand board. Working with Bob Carlson, chemical engineering expert Pavel Krasutsky designed methods to extract the chemicals from the bark. He says birch bark has been used in many ways over the centuries, and we're just beginning to grasp its real value.
Like, you know, Native Americans, they use birch like for protection their houses, for making canoes, for making dishes, and they knew that to prepare dishes in birch bark, it's very good for health. They didn't understand why.
One other benefit of NatureTech, it could put many UMD students to work in the future, and it could set a national example. 12 major companies are currently test driving the birch-based compounds, and if current trends continue, the little tree with a big history could put the Northland into a whole new business. Jason Rice, News 6.
With every flyer Chad Johnson stuffs and every envelope Tim Johnson addresses, the Proctor High School students say it's another chance to prevent school violence. They're part of a special school group called DECA. They're working to make their halls and classrooms safer. They created a special tip hotline with the help of Crime Stoppers.
Students do know if something's going to happen. They're going to know before the teachers or anyone else. So we want to give a way for students to vent that information. And
they'd like to get a framed poster with the number hanging in every classroom in Minnesota.
The frames are important because if there's just a piece of paper on the wall, such as a poster, you'll see it one day and it'll be thrown away and it'll just be out of sight, out of mind.
But for about $3 a poster, they hope to make a lasting impression on other students.
Hermantown called us and said that they're going to place an order. ESCO has already placed an order, and that's when it really gets exciting.
Chad and Tim are also busy with a 30-page paper on their project.
The better you document it, the better chances you have of doing well.
A lot of work, so it can go to a state competition next month.
Why would you do it? But I think as the kids get in and they understand the impact they make, it all becomes clear.
The students are learning more than valuable life skills. They're learning how to make a difference.
It's a really good feeling to know that people are using and hopefully becoming safer because of something you've done.
School violence is a problem that's sweeping across the nation now, and we're just going to try and do the best we can to try and prevent it in the future.
In Proctor, Kim Kaiser, News 6.
Congressional Summit.
It's about being at the beach and pretending that you're at the beach. So you don't have to really go to the beach. You could just stay inside and play.
Stay on the other side a minute. Hold on one sec. Now when you come back, watch you pick it up.
soft splash of a surfacing trout to the sparkling shine of a new boat, it's no wonder the Duluth Boat Sport and Travel Show has become a known carrier of spring fever.
I'm looking forward to summer. We missed out on our snowmobiling this winter. No snow and all. Summer's coming.
For resort owners trying to make it through their third consecutive mild winter, this crowd of summer-hungry people is critical to their survival.
Doing more sport shows when we realized that the winter was going to be a disaster. We beefed up our presence on the internet. We do a lot more direct mail. A real concerted effort to try to recoup some of the business that we lost over the wintertime.
Lodge owner Steve Hunter is already looking forward to this year's fishing opener. Governor Ventura will be fishing near his resort on Crane Lake.
The governor's party will probably take up all of the available lodging space for the opening.
Resort owners hope the governor's open will have a lasting impact on Northwoods tourism.
With the exposure that we expect to receive from the governor's opener and all the excitement that surrounds that event, we anticipate that the benefits, but the rest of the year and in subsequent years, at least people will know Crane Lake exists.
Even businesses that won't benefit from the governor's open are anxiously waiting for warmer temperatures, hoping that nature's snow shortfall will mean a more bountiful spring business.
We're looking up for summer business, and hopefully a lot of people will be out spending some money that they can now because maybe they're not spending money snowmobiling.
As winter begins to lose its already weak grip, many businesses will be able to enjoy the very thing they've been dreading all winter, warmer weather. In Duluth, Craig Zleeman, News 6.
Words are cheap. It's easy for anyone to say, I support the idea. It's something else to invest the money necessary to get things changed.
Frustrations had reached an emotional boiling point as members of the Katie Poyer Abduction Task Force unveiled a final proposal that could mean tough new safety standards for small businesses.
This bill is to help store owners to protect their employees.
Businesses open between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. will be the hardest hit by the new legislation.
First, they would have at least 2 employees on the premises, or they would install a bullet-resistant security enclosure, otherwise known as a cage, or keep the store locked and conduct all business through an indirect pass-through trough, trapdoor, or window.
The plan would also require convenience stores to improve other safety features, like setting a minimum quality standard for video surveillance equipment. Height markers would be placed at entrances. Large warning signs would need to be posted, hopefully warding off potential criminals. The plan also calls for a tax credit up to $5,000 to aid businesses in the upgrade.
Although the bill asks only for voluntary compliance with the new safety standards, any convenience store that fails to provide a safe working environment for its employees could face fines up to $25,000.
The protection now is the Attorney General's option to bring complaints against the store and the fine that's imposed by that statute.
Before the laws can be enforced, however, they need to be funded. The task force has asked Governor Ventura for the $15 million necessary to start the program. So far, they say they've gotten no support.
Governor Ventura, the time is now. We, the people of Minnesota, need your support and commitment for these bills.
As the deadline for approval approaches, task force members fear the worst, afraid that if their bill for safety dies, so could more innocent children.
No more statistics. We have the results of those statistics. We have Jacob, Callie Joe, Julie, Missy, Grant, Jessica, Paul, Karen, Kari, Mary, Susan, and Katie.
In Sturgeon Lake, Craig Zleeman, News 6.